So Rich, the trash picker upper, wrote, "You should cover the new Grubhub email. I just got something about not being an independent contractor anymore. I don't know. Did you get it? Question mark." All right, Rich, let's cover that. So I'm going to assume that Rich is talking about this email right here that I received yesterday. And it looks like when we click this link, it's a share your story, flexassociation.org. So I don't know exactly what's going on, but I can tell you this. I'll throw my opinion out there for anyone who cares to know. This is basically a spin-off of Prop 22 in California. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. The government has no business whatsoever throwing their weight around in the gig economy. They just don't. There is not a monopoly here in the gig economy. There is 5 apps in my area. Absolutely no need for the government to come in and reclassify us. And the part that burns me up is they're not coming after independent contractors. Barbers, hairdressers, cosmetic things, stuff like that is all exempt from this. Here's the thing. My opinion on this goes deep. My thoughts on this are probably controversial, but here's my exact opinion. I remember the first time Uber was taken to court because a driver did something crazy to a customer. I don't remember what, don't want to know. But I remember the first time it hit the headlines that a customer, a driver, a passenger was going to take Uber to court because of something a driver did and wanted to hold Uber personally responsible for that situation. I disagree that these companies should be held responsible for anything a driver does. I'm sure there's some weird situations that people could probably bring up and I'd be like, okay, you got a point, but we are independent contractors. Everybody's screaming we're running our own business, we're our own entity, which is for the most part true. We're more on the subcontractor side. The companies are independent contractors and they hand us the subcontract. They're the one that initially gets the contract and hands it down to us. Instead of going after these companies, you should be going after the drivers that do these stupid things. If there was an app that monopolized the market, if there was an app that was big as Google, YouTube, Amazon, that dominated the market, had 90% of the market share, I could understand why the government would want to step in and make sure it's well regulated at that point. So when the good politicians of Chicago stepped in and capped Grubhub and DoorDash off, I was like, okay, so our government is stepping in now and telling companies like these companies how much profit they can make. That's communism. Governments, where you have a free and open market, okay, where you have a capitalist system, the government should not be allowed to step in and tell us how much we can or cannot make, especially with the amount of competition that's on the road. Now, as far as the drivers and how we are classified, I personally signed up to do this knowing what being an independent contractor is all about. On Grubhub and DoorDash's side, they are not responsible for the upkeep of my vehicle. They don't have to offer us W-2 benefits. So if we get reclassified and we're no longer independent contractors, and it's only affecting gig workers. Just if you got an app on your phone and you make money through that app, they want to reclassify you. It's going to be unreal. It ain't going to happen overnight, but it's going to be unreal. The government just has absolutely no business walking in on us. And it's a minority group of drivers that is rooting for this and pushing it through. If you ask me personally, I don't like to judge people, but I about guarantee you that the people that are begging our government to do something about this is the gig economy is their very first job ever, and they don't know how good we actually have it. If they've ever worked a real minimum wage job, if they haven't had that experience, if they haven't worked at McDonald's or Walmart and they sign up for the gig economy and it's their very first experience working, they simply do not have a clue why they should be appreciating the gig economy. I really don't know how this can stand. I don't know how the politicians in Chicago put a cap on how much Grubhub and DoorDash could collect from the restaurant for delivering their food. And I'm one of the very few, that thinks that 30% is very reasonable of Grubhub and DoorDash to ask from the restaurants for delivering their food. The restaurant does not have to pay the driver. The restaurant gets its name, its brand promoted like nobody's business. And I guess the restaurants just expect these apps to promote the restaurant, give them a driver, the driver brings the car and pays the cost of fuel and delivers their food for no cost, and they collect 100% of the profit. I guess that's what the restaurants think should happen. But if these restaurants created their own dedicated delivery service, and they supplied the car, they supplied the gas, they paid the driver a minimum $10 an hour and let him keep the tip, they would find out that 30% is very, very, very reasonable. There's enough competition out there to keep the gig economy in check by itself. The government does not need to walk in on my business and tell me whether I'm a 1099 or a W-2. They have no business doing that. Just because a few drivers think that we should be receiving W-2 benefits for being 1099s. People are not looking for what's right anymore. They're looking for power. If you disagree with their point of view, sit down and shut up. They don't even want to hear it. They don't care if their beliefs are based on fiction. This situation would be a lot better if the officials that have the ability to change these rules and change these laws would sign up for these gig apps, get in a car, and work these gig apps for a solid 6 months to get a complete feel for it. And watch all the gig tubers on top of that. Every one of them. The ones that are screaming that we should be W-2s, and the ones that are saying we should be 1099s. You need to watch both of that and collect all that data and get out there and get on the field, boots to the ground experience before they change any rules or any laws. And I guarantee you, if they did, they would understand the benefits that we already receive, because the benefits that I receive as a 1099 far outweigh the benefits of any W-2. Uncle Sam needs to stay out of it, especially if there's competition. And there's plenty of competition. They don't need to regulate this. This is not a monopoly at all. They're overstepping their boundaries, and in my opinion, this is all about taxes. And if we change them from independent contractors to W-2s, they have to have their money withheld every week. They're thinking taxes, plus we get the write-off stuff that W-2s don't get to write off. That'll be gone. That'll be history. And the people that are trying to take power and control this is going to flat destroy it and ruin it for the ones, the majority, that want to be here. Whether you're a cherry picker or you're a premier driver, top dasher, we all can agree. I haven't run into anyone that disagrees, but we can all agree that we have the freedom and flexibility. A minority, 5, maybe 10% of the drivers want to come in and say no, and they're going to flat destroy the gig economy. And then they're going to say, oh, I don't like this. I might have been wrong, but I'm not going to admit it, and walk off and leave it. And the ones that want to be here are going to be like this. Wow, thanks. You know, you come in and created a train wreck, and leave the ones that, like me, that want to be here going, well, WTF. So just so you know, if you're a part of that 10% of the driver base out there that you're just seeking power and you're trying to walk into these companies and tell them what to do. If you're one of the people supporting the government in this case, and you're trying to get us reclassified for your benefit, the only thing drivers like you have ever done is make everything worse. So if you get your way this time, I promise you these companies will respond. And until next time, peace.